Wow, what an outcome last night. That was not expected. It was not expected by me. I don't think it was expected by anybody, frankly. I'm not even sure Donald Trump expected it. But not only did he win the Electoral College vote, but it looks like he's won the popular vote as well. They're still counting votes in California. We still don't know who's going to control the House of Representatives, but the Republicans have the Senate. They took down John Tester. And Donald Trump is going to be president in 2 months. So what do we do? I think number one, we need to be here for each other. We need to support each other. I think number two, there was a conservative who was asked earlier, actually let me dig out the story and share with you his exact words. Why is it or how is it that this all happened? Yeah, here it is right here. This is from Raw's story. Matthew Sheffield, he's a former right-wing media insider. And he said, partisan ecosystems make a party's job so much easier in several significant ways. They can 24/7 attack the opposition without the candidates sullying themselves. They provide a jobs base that makes it easy for new party members to earn a living. He said that, in other words, what he's saying is that the reason why Trump won was because there's this massive right-wing ecosystem. There are 7 radio and television networks that do conservative programming 24/7, plus 1 in Spanish language with over 300 stations. There is 1 major progressive network, MSNBC, and 1 smaller progressive television network, Free Speech TV, and basically 1 national channel for progressives, a Sirius XM Progress 127, which I'm on, and many of you are listening to me on right now. But that's it. I mean, you've got multiple right-wing channels on Sirius XM. You've got 1,500 right-wing radio stations across the country. So basically, he's saying the people who lost the election, this is a quote from Sheffield, the people who lost the election are the Democratic leaders who have steadfastly refused to invest in advocacy media. The average American, he says, is surrounded by partisan brainwashing media. There are now 7 right-wing infotainment channels and 1 MSNBC. This is why Harris lost. I would take it a step farther. I would say, and this is what I wrote in my op-ed this morning, is that it's not so much that Democrats lost as that Republicans won, and they did so by virtue of a massive multi-billion-dollar advertising campaign. Now, this is the one issue. I listened to MSNBC for an hour or so this morning, listened to CNN for a while. It was popping around, and not one media personality. Joe Scarborough actually pointed out that this ad saying that Kamala Harris, wants illegal immigrants to get transgender operations in jail was seen over 30,000 times. But he didn't mention where the money came from to make that happen. I've been pointing this out for some time, that this is probably going to be a $15 to $20 billion election. And Republican-aligned billionaires are outspending Democratic-aligned billionaires 7 to 1, at least. This is the election that 5 corrupt Republicans on the U.S. Supreme Court brought us with Citizens United. And in my mind, that's the big takeaway. And, the unfortunate part of it is that this victory by Trump and by the Republicans and by the Heritage Foundation and by the Koch network and by all the right-wing billionaires, this victory is going to make it much, much harder for Democrats to basically do anything successful. Now, the possible upside is that the Republicans are going to radically overreach. I mean, if they do even 20 or 30% of what Trump has promised, it could produce some serious backlash. But I have a feeling they're not going to be as unsophisticated as Trump has been on the campaign trail. And we'll see how this plays out. But where I was going with all this, where I started, is what do we do? And what we do is, A, we have to support each other, and B, we have to support progressive media. And I don't mean that as a pitch for my program, but we need to build a progressive media infrastructure. Now, that said, I'm not certain to what extent the lack of a progressive media infrastructure is just the result of Democrats failing to invest in it or right-wing billionaires building out a conservative media infrastructure, versus the possibility that, you know, America actually wants the Joe Rogans of the world. I mean, he's got, you know, millions of listeners. And yeah, he was put on a major platform and got a lot of promotion, but still, I mean, there it is. It's just, you know, the young men of America. Now, you know, in an earlier generation, you know, that was other people. You know, that was Howard Stern, for example, over on Sirius XM. And, you know, he's still got a lot of listeners, but mostly they're boomers, I think. And he was fairly progressive, but he was also, you know, speaking to the young men in ways that were kind of, you know, coarse at times.